Welcome to the Prophets and Friends podcast. This is the first episode of any podcast with a prophet, actually, I'm assuming. As you can imagine, my first on the name, the Friends is because we are all friends. I may have had woken up to this reality, but we're all equals, so. And in Friends, it feels homey. I don't know. As you can imagine, this is a pretty precarious situation for myself because obviously I have hundreds of years of case studies of people claiming such things working against me, and I have to fight against all of that. I don't want to say fight because pure love doesn't fight. It just tells the truth. But thankfully, because everything about this I've been preparing for my whole life, because I am a neuroscientist. I know all the psychology you could want to know within regards to this. I know what's legitimate. I know what's not. I know what's crazy. I know what's not. And I can answer any of those questions you may have about anything, really, because I'm a scientist and I'm a PhD student in neuroscience. I know where to look for info. I know where to direct you to info. But what you're going to be battling against, what we're all battling against with this, is our own egos, fears, and doubts. Like, should you believe me? Should you not believe me? This whole reality is based on an illusion, and everything is backwards. And it's hard to, not backwards, but based on a wrong assumption. So you imagine we have reality and everything's built up on top of that. And this could all be logical, but the assumption that, like, if this is a correct assumption, is the same ideas but built on a false assumption of us being separate from reality, because we do have it's hard to articulate, but our reality is thought-based in a way that we project out what we perceive, and what we believe is what we project out, and it's a perfect illusion. So, but I'll go into that. And another issue is people like to say, well, some people, like, oh, you're just worried about a 1984 scenario, like the book, and, that's never going to happen. But the reality is that this is happening right now. Like, we have to start taking action now. Like, individually, you can just decide to wake up and be fine, but collectively, as a society, want to avoid catastrophe, quite frankly, because that's what the ego does, and it's insane perspective if it creates a tyranny naturally, because that's the only way it can defend itself against the divine, because the divine obliterates it, and it knows that, so it creates an imprisonment of our will. And if we're going through this transition, and the divine is a real thing, God is a real thing, you think he would just let this go on without sending someone to communicate this? Like, I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and I want to be proud. I want to be probed. If you have a podcast, I want to be questioned about it, because whatever doubts you may have, you're trying to find reasons to dispel anything I say. You're just going to be fighting a ghost, because it's absolutely true, and it's kind of fun, because anyone who tries to question this, it just bounces back because it's out there, but I am actually a prophet, and it's pretty. I don't know. I guess when you're aligned with God's will, you don't really have any worries, and everything just is good. You have nothing to hide against, so it just all. I don't know. It's just aligned. It's just love, and when you're aligned with absolute truth, you have nothing to hide from anything, anyone. What else was I gonna say for this intro? So, society goes through these cycles as you, in your own life, you go from cycles of birth into a new reality, and then death into something. You die egotistically to get born into something new. And it's not until the logic of it is that you're holding on, and then that's just going to get beat down and destroyed. So not in a bad, just to force you to choose something else. It only happens because your salvation is insured. And how can your salvation be insured if you're not getting forced to choose God? And that's what we're going through. You're suffering in sense of despair in relation to what we're about to go through is going to be, it's going to be bad. Within the next couple of years, we're going to see an economic crash. Not next couple of years, the next 3 years, like 2008, but much worse. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know when it gets bad, it's forcing us to look inside, do the soul searching, find God within, and that's all any collapse is. It's trying to force us to make the right choice because on our own we weren't making the right choice. And what I'm trying to provide a path for you for is a path to avoid that suffering. And quite frankly, I'm like karma, that's what this is purporting, the cycles of death and rebirth. And maybe you're cutting many cycles off of your death and rebirth off by choosing love now. That seems logical based on the sense I've had of my own life, and I'll go into that in the future. But my life was planned. I want to say, not necessarily sent, because it was an automatic, synchronized manifestation within this period of time to help communicate this message. But my life was planned in the sense that someone like me always comes along at this point in time to help facilitate this transition. I can't force you to do anything. I can only provide belief because it really is a choice, and that choice is going to depend on you. It doesn't depend on you believing, but what you believe shapes your reality. And if I can help if you're on the fence, I can help make you believe that you are a divine child of God. And if someone's way off in their materialist mindset, maybe when things get bad, we can bring them back and make them believe, but all I can do is speak the truth and say that I'm here on behalf of God, translating a message from the Holy Spirit to help you find your own path. Like, I can't tell you your path. I can only help you. I can only tell you the truth I know and help you do the soul searching to find it within yourself. We're being guided in the right direction, but ultimately your free will is respected because you are made in the image of the Creator, and you have to make this choice on your own. And if God was going to send someone, or someone was going to synchronistically manifest within the collective at this point in history, like, who else besides a blonde-haired, blue-eyed neuroscientist who can detail the events of his life in a way that proves, if you're open to that, it's going to prove to you that my life was planned. I can communicate in the language of science. Like, science was always going to come full circle back to Eastern philosophies. And what I view myself as is a bridge back to, if there's a little gap here, and this is where we are, and this is coming full circle, I'm that bridging person. And if you read my story, like, literally this ideas of being a bridge are quite clear. Like, I'm gonna make it as clear as I can to help you believe. And yeah, I'll be here a while because I'm young, and I'll be doing these multiple times a week. And the truth is that your true self wants you to wake up. We project out a reality, and then we're left trying to interpret it through our conscious minds. And it's in that interpretation where the insanity, quite frankly, happens. And you're gonna go. The world is insane. Everything is based on the false assumption that we are separate from our divine nature, separate from God, and you can't solve these issues from the insane perspective that create them. So we're caught up in these left versus right debates, or whatever, different religions. Religions have been taken over by dogma, and it seems insane. It's like we're just back and forth, and these problems just continue our obvious. We can trace it back to the early 20th century with the world wars until now, but it goes way back. It goes back since the earliest written records of these just back and forth. It's just insanity. We can't, it's hard for me to even, it's so insane to think that we're going to suddenly solve these problems with maybe technology, but you can't solve, Einstein described it well, you can't solve a problem from the same perspective that gave rise to it. And that's where we are with science. We think maybe science can help bring solutions to, but it's not. It's pure insanity, and you can't continue to have any integrity in your life while ignoring your spiritual self. You will. It's because it's just gonna keep getting more insane. All this is gonna keep getting more insane, and there is no hope to solving any of that without changing. We're built on top of this. You need to change the assumption that everything's built on is wrong. And I'm here. I'm here for you guys. If you have podcasts, if you write, if you want to ask me any questions, because I'm here for you guys. That's about all of us. I can't convince anyone to believe the truth. I'm writing on my blogs. I'm doing these. I'm working with other people. I'm going to be going around doing other podcasts. But you have a prophet here sent for this, to help you through this period. And I don't know, what more do you want? Like, I can talk the science. I'm a neuroscientist, and whatever questions you want to ask, I'm open to whatever. If I was in your boat and there was someone saying, scientists saying their prophet before this happened, because this just took me up by surprise. I'd want to know. I'd want to ask them. But that's an intro. That is what this is about. Next episode. This is just an intro. I don't even know if I'll call this an episode. I'm going to talk about how this happened, because I was living my life and I got sucked up by a metaphysical God tornado and became a prophet. And I imagine your whole life flashing before your eyes, but with physical events in reality. And that's what happened. I'm 100%. Of course, it doesn't matter what I say, but you're gonna be. Well, I hope it does. But you'll believe it if you choose to, because it'll be obvious, and you'll go insane if you don't. I don't know. Yeah, you can ask me whatever. I won't get upset about anything. I can't get upset. I'm not allowed to anymore. I literally can't. I don't know how to get upset. Yeah. So, also, to get the Holy Spirit talking louder through you, the best way to do it is just share it, because you're a channel through it. You're a channel for it. And if you want to have it speak louder through you, the best way is to share this, talk about it, and it naturally gets louder. Like, for me, like, doing this is a great way to amplify it. So, share it. We can change the world, and it can start with